Hi, my name is Leandro Facchinetti and let's write some code together, shall we? What we have on the menu today is Notestrator, this app that allows you to draw on top of your computer screen. So if you have one of these and you are doing a stream or you are presenting something on Zoom or something like that, you can draw and your drawing will show up on top of your computer screen. I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. Not brew, install Skype, no. npm start. We are writing this app in Electron using JavaScript. So this is what the app looks like. This is the menu and you can draw on top of whatever you are doing, which may help you like explain something, annotate something, draw a quick diagram on the side, that sort of thing. Today, we are going to customize the cursor for the app. So right now, the cursor is always this arrow. And I want the cursor to represent the tool that you are using. So if you're using the pen, I think that the icon should be a circle. If you're doing a highlighter, I think it should be a bigger circle, and I think that it should be slightly transparent. If you have an eraser on the cursor, probably should be an eraser. And I think that the circle needs to have the diameter of the circle needs to correspond to the stroke width. So for instance, these two have different stroke widths, and yeah, and that sort of thing. I think that the cursor needs to be the color that you are drawing, and that's what we are going to do. So in the last episode, that was on Monday, I was trying to do this and I failed. I failed hard. I was trying to use custom cursors in CSS, and it seems like it's not very well supported to use SVG cursors in CSS. I mean, ideally, that's what we would do. We would have an SVG and we would throw that SVG as a cursor using CSS. But it seems like that is not supported in Chrome and it's barely supported in other browsers. So instead, what we are going to do is to hide the default cursor, and we are going to have part of the DOM. We are going to have one element which is an SVG, and we are going to move it around to track the cursor. This gives us a lot more freedom in terms of what we can do with the cursor. We can even animate the cursor, for instance, which could be kind of cool. So we'll look into that. We'll learn how to do this tracking thing, how to hide the cursor. I think to hide the cursor is relatively straightforward. So let's start there. Let's try to hide the cursor. So this is my little Electron app, and we are defining CSS for the SVG over here. And then I can say something like cursor none, I think. I don't really remember. So I'll go to the docs for cursor. None. There you go. So now when the app loads, the cursor still shows up. That is unfortunate. Maybe it is because the focus of we had this issue before. We ran into this before. The focus of the window is on the menu for the keyboard shortcuts to be sent to the menu. If you don't know what these letters and numbers are, they are keyboard shortcuts for the different tools. And for the keyboard shortcuts to work, the focus needs to be on the window that is the menu. We have two windows going on. If you let focus be on the window of the drawing, then we would have to manually forward the keyboard shortcuts to the other window for them to be interpreted. So I decided to have two windows because of this feature that allows you to interact with the underlying app. I need to make the drawing click through, but you cannot make a window partly click through, so we had to use two windows. I mean, at least I find it difficult to have a click-through, a partially click-through window. So we have two windows. And the focus needs to be on the menu. So the SVG is not in focus, and maybe that's why the cursor is still showing. Let's try to take this cursor property and put it on the body. If you're interested in learning what's going on with this mode of this way of defining CSS, go watch my previous videos. It's a tool that I developed. It's really neat. That is not working. What happens if I put the cursor none on the menu, which has the focus? Is that going to work? So this is the beginning of the menu, and when we have the body, we can do that on the body. The cursor is only hidden when I put my cursor on the menu, which I guess makes sense. The menu doesn't have control over parts that are not on top of the menu. Oh man, this was supposed to be so simple. A custom cursor was supposed to be so simple, and it's turning out to be the most difficult feature we have to implement on this thing. Oh man. Oh, this window management situation is complicated. Well, I know one thing we can do. We can say that the SVG will have cursor none, and that will not work because of the focus. But we can let the drawing window have the focus, and then it works. We don't see a cursor anymore. The problem is when you go here to the other window, then there is this whole management of focus that doesn't really make sense. Well, first of all, if I am drawing and I try to use the keyboard shortcuts, they don't work because the keyboard events go to the drawing window. So there is that problem. And then there is the other problem, that is I can select the menu and then you see the drop shadow change when the window is in focus versus not. And there are these two modalities where the menu is focused, so my custom cursor, which right now is no cursor at all, but my custom cursor doesn't show up. So you can kind of, as a user, feel this two focus situation, which is not ideal. So I guess we will have to make the menu not focusable and forward the keyboard shortcuts, which is so bad. I hate this, but it is what it is. So I will let the focus be on the drawing window, and on my menu window I will say that it's not focusable. So right now, as soon as I load the app, the custom cursor works, and then if I put my cursor here, it just shows up by magic, and I can select options, and that works fine. And it seems like it is the more correct thing to do. Okay, but given that, the keyboard shortcuts don't work, and they don't even work if I have clicked on the window, on the menu. They just plain don't work, and that's because the keyboard events are always sent to the drawing window, which is the window which is in focus. Another nice consequence is that the drop shadow is consistent now. It's there to give that depth so that we can see that the menu is on top of the drawing. So that much works. But then we have to figure out the keyboard shortcuts. You know what I think I'm gonna do? I'm going to leave myself a fix me saying fix me forward keyboard events to menu so that, or actually fix keyboard shortcuts by forwarding the keyboard events to the menu window. We are going to fix this later. Let's focus on the custom cursor. Let me just check that I didn't introduce any other changes. And yeah, let's do the custom cursor. So I will start by having an SVG, which will be my cursor. Yeah, let's go ahead and do this. So I'll have an SVG. It will have a style of position absolute, so it doesn't try to compete with the other SVG, which is an SVG that occupies the whole screen, and that's my drawing canvas. And to begin with, I will have a circle. So let me go to the docs for SVG Circle, and I will copy and paste this guy. And I need to specify a width and a height to my cursor. Now I'm pausing here because I'm thinking if I want to have the width and the height of the circle change when I change, for instance, the stroke width. Do I want to change the stroke and height of the circle? Or do I want to change the dimensions of the SVG itself? So let's think through what the cursor can be. Oh, here is our cursor, by the way. On the top left, there is a big circle there. The cursor is there, we'll just have to make it move. So the colors are going to change, that's fine. Then we want to change the size of the circle. The circle will either be opaque or transparent, and sometimes it will not be a circle at all. It will be an eraser. And I guess I will display a little eraser for you. And then these are things that allow you to have your drawing fade. I don't think that they affect the cursor in any way, or maybe they make this effect, but I don't think they affect the cursor in any way. And then we have these, which when we select, it will just make our drawing click through. So the cursor will be whatever cursor is behind. So in this case, it is a selection cursor. Here it is a little hand, it's a pointer, that sort of thing. So we only want the cursor to be circle or an eraser. So I think I'll make the circle inside be, yeah, I'll make the circle inside change the size. I'll change the size of the circle inside. So the SVG itself will have a fixed dimension, which I guess needs to be the dimensions of the SVG, I think, need to be the maximum diameter that we want to have. So let's reason about this. What is the dimension that I want to have? Well, the largest thing that I will need is this tool over here. So when I have the highlighter on, it makes the stroke width a little bit wider, and this is the widest stroke width. So the circle about this size is, yeah, circle just like the one I just drew. that is the maximum size of our cursor. So I think I'll just calculate what that size is, and I'll assign the dimensions here. So in terms of stroke width, the maximum is a stroke width of 5, and when we are on the highlighter, we multiply by 3, so it's 15. And I'm not sure if the stroke width is like to each side of the line in the middle. When you have a line, the stroke width, no, I think that the stroke width of 15 pixels will be 15 pixels large. So I'll say that this is 15 pixels. And there is something else that I'm thinking about. We don't want this, usually the axis on an SVG go from left to right and from top down. And I think it would probably be easier for us to track this if we have, so we have a square of 15 by 15. Maybe our center could be in 7.5 and 7.5, and we would work with coordinates that are positive and negative. And then the cursor will track exactly where your action will be centered at. I think that will make things easier. So to do that, I'll say that the view box of this SVG is minus 7.5, minus 7.5, going up to 7.5. Now I kind of regret having used odd numbers because of this half situation we have going on, but never mind that. So now we'll do a circle, and let's test this dimension. So if our circle is centered at 0, 0 and has a radius of, I guess, 7.5, then the circle will not be clipped, but it will show up here at the corner. Oh, it clipped, so I got something wrong. Let's see, if I am using the highlighter at this position and I do a small circle, so it seems like the dimensions of the SVG are correct, the dimensions of my circle are incorrect. Or maybe my view box didn't work. It seems like my view box didn't work. Do I have something wrong in the definition of the view box? Did I type it wrong? I like to have a comma here, but that's just me. That doesn't seem like this worked. Let me draw. I will draw a smaller circle, radius of 1, and then we'll see a dot, and I expect the dot to be like about there. Yeah, it seems like that worked. Now let's have a square. How do you draw a square in SVG? It's a rectangle. So you just say rect x minus 7.5 y minus 7.5 width of 15, height of 15, and a fill of tomato. By doing this, I think I should have a rectangle that covers the whole SVG and a circle right in the middle. No. let's make something is very odd. Let's make the background color of the whole SVG be blue. We should not see any blue. The rectangle should have covered everything, and it does cover everything. So maybe I have the definition of the view box wrong. Let's do a quick search for SVG view box. Oh, it's given in terms of minimal x and y, and then width and height. And I thought it was going to be maximum x and y. So this is 15 and 15. Now everything should make more sense. Alrighty. And then let's do a little circle on the side. Yeah, I think that this is right. Excellent. So let's remove all the debugging stuff. And you know what I was just thinking? We want one of the cursors to not be a circle, but the eraser. So for that, we need to render an icon. So our cursor is actually a div that contains both an SVG as well as an icon. And we will need to alternate between the two. So right now, and then that's the div that we are going to move around to track the cursor. We move the whole div and we change what is inside. Now that I'm doing it this way, I don't think we need to do the view box trick. We can do this trick on the div itself. Yeah, so check this out. I don't do the trick here. So now we need to say that this has a radius of 7.5, or that it's at 7.5, or it may be worth doing this thing anyway. Yeah, I think it's worth doing this view box thing anyway to make circle smack in the middle, and I like that. But then whatever is inside here, we'll do a transform of translate of minus 50%, minus 50%. This should take the div and translate it so that it is centered. So we are centering the dot here in the middle, and then we are centering the SVG with respect to the div that we are going to move around. And then also I want to have my icons on this window. We have icons on the other window. We have font awesome there on the menu. Now I need also to have font awesome on the drawing window, because besides the SVG I will also want an eraser icon, which is written like this. Something weird happened, because I don't see the eraser. I will inspect to see if it's there in the DOM. Let's see. There is the SVG. Oh, I didn't know that was how Font Awesome worked. They replace the element you put with an SVG. Okay, cool stuff. It seems like the div itself is far, probably because of my translate shenanigans. So there you go. That was my issue. It was my translate thing. So we need to finish this whole situations here. We need to finish this positioning thing so we are actually able to see the icon in the right place. So now let me move this there, because I am not going to position absolute the SVG. I will do that to the whole cursor, I guess. So this div is my cursor, and I want my cursor to follow the mouse. So we need to write some JavaScript here. I'm going to start this by doing a bit of setup. On my menu, I have this lovely line of code. Where is it? No, not on this script tag, on this one. Yes. So this lovely line, or I guess 5 lines of code, they do something magical. They enhance the DOM so that I can have a data on DOM content loaded, which is not something that you have in plain JavaScript, but with this 5 lines you get this superpower, and that allows me to collocate my behavior with my elements. So it is like a component library like React or Vue, but without any of the complexity. No virtual DOM, it's just simple text. There you go. So data on DOM content loaded. What I want to do is to add an event listener to the document, not to my div. I don't want to do that on the cursor. I want to assign an event listener on the document for mouse move, and I will get a hold of the event, and then I already have some code that deals with X and Y positions of the cursor, so I'll just grab that. And what I want to do is to change the top oh no, I cannot do that. For technical reasons, it makes more sense to do it this way. And I would change the left of this absolutely positioned element. And I believe this makes the div track the cursor. Let's see. Okay, so it is tracking the cursor, all right. But it is crazy. When I say up, it goes like left. When I say down, it goes right. When I say right, it goes down. And when I move left, it goes up. So oh my God, what went wrong? Oh, I just mixed these two up, didn't I? And here we are. Now the cursor is tracking correctly, and I can see that my little dot is the beginning of my drawing. So all the translation stuff over here and my translation over there on the SVG, also everything makes sense. You know what? Just to show that I'm not fooling around, I will comment this out, and we'll see that the dot will be offset with respect to the beginning of the drawing. See? Yeah, it's a little off. All right. That wasn't too bad. And now there is this thing that I dislike. So when my cursor goes to another window, the thing that is tracking loses track and it stays there. So what I want to do is to listen for the on mouse leave. Is that what the event is called? I think I have mouse down. Oh, I listen for mouse down and mouse up and mouse move. I do listen for mouse move, right? Yes. But let's go to MDN mouse events. I think it's mouse leave and mouse enter. What kinds of events are there? Event reference, mouse event. I'll get there eventually. Nah. Okay. So I have click and mouse up and mouse down. What if I just search for mouse move? Will it give me a list of related events? See also mouse down, mouse up, mouse over, mouse out, mouse enter, mouse leave. I think I want enter and leave, but I want to learn about the other ones. Mouse over. Okay, not exactly. What is the relationship between mouse over and mouse enter? Yeah, that doesn't clarify anything. I would have to spend 5 minutes reading this, but we have mouse out and we have mouse leave. I don't know, I guess I'll just use mouse leave. So when there is a mouse leave happening, I will say hidden true. And on mouse move, I will say this hidden false. There you go. Now there is a slight problem with this. When the app first loads, nope, there is no problem. There you go. Yeah, we did a custom cursor that tracks stuff. That's nice. Let's commit what we have and then we start working on changing the cursor in relation to the tool that is selected. So let's see. Yeah, it didn't change much. That's fine. So I know that I will need some sort of event to let me know that some other tool has been selected, and then I can change what is in the div. So the change of menu options that will affect the cursor happen on the menu window. So I have to go to the menu window, and there is a form, this form right here. I will need to add, I guess, a change event to this. Let's see, if I do an on change event and I simply alert hi, Okay. That is exactly what I need. So when that happens, I need to take this event, forward it to the main process, get it down from the main process into the drawing window, and then update the SVG. So let's do the first part where I do I move the event from my menu to my main process. And I have an example of this. It's just like this, simple stuff. And the event that I want to send will be called cursor. It will be a cursor event. And as for the value that I want to send is the form, because the form itself will have all the information I need on the other side. So I don't really care about specific changes. I will just send the whole form, and on the other side I will look at the whole form and I will just do whatever I need. So I guess I have something like this already. Form data. Yes, this line right here is a magical line that we wrote in a previous stream, and that what it does is it takes all the fields, the inputs in the form, and serializes that into an object, which is something that I can send to the IPC renderer. So now to the main process, that is. So now that is sending an event, and then I will need to go to where I'm handling events, and I will need to say on cursor. And how do I even call this? I guess I called it a menu the other time, so I'll call it the menu. So what I'm gonna do here is just console log the JSON stringify of the menu with some indentation of 2 spaces. And now when I change, oh, I don't seem to have saved. There you go. So now when I change something, we should see the whole form here on the console. And here is the whole menu. You can see that the color changed from pink to purple. So now let's forward this event. Let's send an event down to the drawing window. And yeah, I was thinking about how I want to do this, but I think that I can just send an event. Don't really remember how it works. So my drawing window, and I guess I need to say web contents, and then send an asynchronous message to the renderer process via channel along with arguments. Okay. So I will just send down the cursor message with the menu. And now let's go back to the drawing window where we have our cursor, and let's IPC renderer dot, I don't remember what to use here, so IPC renderer oh, I don't seem to be handling any events from the main process, so anywhere else in the app. So I need to go to the docs, find the IPC renderer, and the API is similar, so I just say on. Okay, so IPC renderer on cursor with an event that I ignore in the menu. So in that case, I think I will have access to the menu here. So let's do again JSON stringify of the menu with some indentation of 2 spaces, and now this should show up not on the console but as an alert on the window. And here it is. Awesome. And we just did something similar to what we will have to do for the keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcuts have the opposite problem. So the current problem is the change of a form happens on the menu, and I need to forward that down to the drawing, but my keyboard shortcuts will show up at the drawing, and I need to forward them back to the menu. It is what it is. Don't really like it. And now we have access to the menu, so we will do some work here to style this. So I guess we need to go over almost every option on the menu and react to whatever is there. So you know what I can do? I can undo, copy and paste what was in the alert, then I'll have something good to work from. Alrighty, so we need to change this ignore mouse events thing. I don't want it to be part of the form because ignore mouse events is not something that will affect the drawing at all. I wonder if this will change the appearance of the menu. And it seems like it did. There is more space over here. So I'm going to revert this, but I will leave a to do. Or a fix me. And I'm being pedantic about this because I know that in the future I will want to extract this whole drawing engine so that I can use it in other contexts. For instance, I want to have a website for this, and I want you to be able to use in the website you'll be able to draw. I think that will be fun. And we already have this whole experiment I did last week that allows you to draw on top of an OBS stream. So not on top of your computer screen, but on top of a stream in OBS, which is super cool. So I want to extract this drawing engine, and I want to extract the menu as well. And I don't want to have this, which is very specific to this particular application. I don't want that to be part of the form. Okay, but now let's go back to where I was. So we need to, I already did what I want to do with ignore mouse events, which is to put that comment there. Now let's react to the, well, I guess the fade is also something that does affect the drawing, so I want it to be part of the form, but I probably don't want to change the cursor. We'll see, we'll get there. Let's start with the color. The color is so easy. So all we have to do, oh, you know what I'm thinking? When you first start, this event will not have been triggered. So I guess what I'm going to do is to define a function that I will call update cursor or cursor. I guess I'll call it cursor or whatever. And this will be given a menu. Oh no, the problem is that I won't have access to the menu. I was thinking about just calling the cursor function right here, but I won't have access to a menu. So I guess the right way to do this is to be able to style the cursor when the application starts. Well, when the application starts, I know what the state of the cursor is, so I don't have to worry about that. I would just react to changes. So let's see what we need to do for the color. Well, we'll need to say this dot query selector for the circle, this circle, and we'll need to say a bunch of things. So I guess I'll say circle like that, and then we'll need to circle style color will be equal to the menu color. And just like that, oh, it's not color. No, it's not called color, it's called fill. And to begin with, my fill will be the first of my colors. So I'll go down to the menu where there will be some color situation going on. And I will pick the first one. And I will also pick the right stroke width to begin with. So I think it's half, 1.5, because I think that the initial stroke width is 3, and if this stroke width is 3, I want the radius of 1.5. And let's see if this cursor is going to change colors. It started red, that's alright, and let's change it to orange, and it's orange now, so it is reacting to our changes. Excellent. If I make it white, then it becomes kind of hard to see, but that's your own problem for choosing white on white. So there is my cursor. Next, let's react to the stroke width. So circle style R. Well, I'm not even sure. I guess this may not be accessible via CSS. So what I can do is set attribute R. Then I think it would be nice to be consistent and also set the attribute, because I'm using the attribute here. I will also set attribute of fill, just like that. And then I will do my menu stroke width divided by 2, very important. So it begins relatively small. Let's make it bigger, and the circle is bigger. And it matches very nicely with the width of the stroke, or the width of the line that I draw. So that's perfect. I dislike how this is so small. But I'll think about it later. Now let's react to the tool. Well, the circle opacity will need to change according to the tool. So if I have the highlighter on, then I will say that my opacity is half. Otherwise, my opacity will be 1. But that's not all. If I have the highlighter on, I need to multiply my stroke width by 3. Then I take out my highlighter and it's slightly larger and it is less opaque. I really like the way that this looks. But also, if I have the eraser, then I will need to switch, hide the SVG and show. I'm going to put this around a div. Now that I learned that Font Awesome will replace this with an SVG. Yeah, because Font Awesome will replace this with an SVG, what if that SVG has a circle? I know it doesn't. I don't think it does for any Font Awesome icon, but this query selector is not specific enough. So how do I call this? I guess I will call this the eraser, and I guess I'll call this the circle. So now I am not talking about my circle, I'm talking about my circle in the circle class. And I guess I will just say circle, it will be hidden if, oh, that's not what I want to hide. I want to hide the whole SVG. So I will say this query selector of circle, the class, hidden if my menu tool is equal to my eraser. Similarly, my eraser will be hidden if I am not using it. So now I should have just a dot on the screen. Oh, not to begin with, because I forgot to hide this in the first place. So the eraser is there and it goes away just fine, but my dot is still there, so I got something wrong. What is wrong here? I'll look at the DOM and let's see. Oh, does it have to do with the fact that I'm hiding this? No, that has nothing to do with that. So let's inspect. Yeah, it's not hiding the SVG. Is there any error in the console? No. I mean, if I say that the SVG should be hidden, oh, it doesn't work. You live, you learn. Doesn't apply. Okay. An SVG cannot be hidden that way. So I will just do a div with this class. And everything else stays the same. Everything else still makes sense. So now I start with my, just a dot. The color of the dot changes. The width of the dot changes. The opacity of the dot changes. And my eraser also works fine. Awesome. could be kind of cute if the eraser... Oh, that's too bad. So the drawing is on top of my cursor. It should be... I guess the solution for this is to use a Z index. Yeah, because my cursor is behind the drawing and I don't want that. And it could be kind of cute for the eraser to have the same color as the color that is selected. So I'll go ahead and do that. So I will say now I'll need to use this twice. And this time I really do mean color. And now my eraser is red and it changes color reacting to my current tool. It's kind of nice because then it just changes the shape. When I change tools, it just changes the shape of my cursor. Doesn't change the color as well. So we reacted to the different tools. We still have to think whether we want to react to the fade. We'll think about this in a moment, but there is something else I want to do. So I'll commit and then we have a clean slate to start experimenting. So here's what I want to experiment with. Instead of doing this twice to set the fill and then set the color, what if I set just the color of this div that contains both the circle and the eraser, and I say that the fill is the current color. This way I will just say this style color menu or menu color, and I don't have to fiddle with the fill. And I think that this will just work. So currently it's red, now it is orange, so that much is working. And that works as well. Excellent. So I was able to extract and pull up, and these two lines became just one. Awesome. Now let's fix the issue of this cursor appearing below. I guess this is a simple matter of putting a Z index that is positive, but we'll see. What? How come this messes the drawing? This is crazy. Wow, using a z-index like that messes up the drawing. That is fascinating. Well, I can try to do the converse. I guess another thing I can try is to just move this. So my whole div, which is my custom cursor, goes below my SVG, which is the drawing. syntax highlighting is messed up, but I think I copy and pasted right. No? Wow. Wow. I have no idea what is going on. I was really lucky to get this right the first time. Maybe, what if I set explicit z indices to both of our guys here? Or maybe the problem is the SVG itself has a position absolute and blah blah blah. We all saw how that could mess things up. Yeah, I guess for correctness, I am going to fix this. So I guess the way this is going to pan out is I'm going to have a div around this whole SVG situation. And the style of the div will be position absolute, oh, I think I know what the issue is, or one of the issues anyway. This cursor none needs to be above on the whole document. Otherwise, the problem probably was that, this is crazy. So I had my custom cursor and my drawing on top, but my actual cursor was on top of the drawing always. It was never on top of the custom cursor. So the fact that the cursor none applied to the drawing made the cursor disappear. But then when I have the custom cursor on the right Z index, my cursor is on top of the custom cursor, not on top of the drawing, which makes the cursor all jittery. There you go. I think that was my issue. But in any case, I think it would be beneficial for me to actually fix this thing. I will not absolutely position the SVG. So I'll do it this way. And I will say top 0 and then right, bottom, and left. And this cursor none needs to go in the body. Not like that, like this. And then my SVG doesn't need to be absolutely positioned, and it does need a width and height of 100% this time. I'm also checking something that we fixed many episodes ago, which is previously my SVG had some scroll to it, but now it doesn't have a scroll. Oh, it does. It does have a scroll. So I guess I will also have to say over here, overflow hidden. No, that doesn't do it. It is so crazy that it's only when my cursor is at the bottom of the screen that I can actually scroll. Or near the bottom anyway. Huh. I don't know, this scroll stuff is crazy. Well, but my overflow hidden didn't solve anything, so I'll remove it. And I was doing this entire thing because I wanted to be able to put this on top, so to put my custom cursor on top of my drawing. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Nope, not there, after this div, there. And syntax highlighting is messed up, but Prettier is able to format the code. Oh, it's jittery again. Oh man. And now I am pretty sure that the cursor none applies to the whole thing. In fact, the cursor is not jittery anymore. My custom cursor is. I'll move back my custom cursor for one last time. Hopefully. And we'll work to figure this out. But first, let's commit what we have. So what it did here was to put the cursor none on the whole body. This is my custom cursor. And then I wrapped the SVG with a div, which introduced a scrolling problem, but we are going to work on it. And then this was just reformatting because of the indentation. So, okay, committing this. Next. Now there is one thing that I've been itching to do. Before I introduced this on content loaded feature, I did the drawing with a script tag. But now I can do that using my lovely little extension. And then when I copy and paste this code, there are upsides and downsides to this. The upside is that my drawing is just this. So that's great. My drawing is not my current script previous element sibling, which is kind of awkward anyway. So that is fine. But my problem is I'm going to lose syntax highlighting, and I'm going to lose Prettier being able to indent this. So my lovely little hack to do client-side JavaScript is not without its flaws. But I find it awesome that my whole drawing is in a component, and it's a plain text component. I find that fascinating. So now anywhere where I say drawing, I should say this. So I can remove this line. And look for other instances of drawing. Yes, there are only two. Are there any named functions? Because that could capture the this. Nope, there are no named functions in my program. I guess there is one named function here. Yeah, there you go. So it was just a refactoring. It wasn't supposed to change anything, and it doesn't change anything. I will commit this and move on to my next thing. My next thing is, well, I still have to figure out. I guess I'll put a fix me. I'll put a fix me where do I do that? I guess about here. So I will say the cursor shows up below the drawing. Okay, so I'll leave this fix me, but I will move on to the next thing, which is I find that just the circle is too small. It's too small, it's hard to see where the cursor even is. So I'm going to put a crosshair Is that how it's called? I think that's how it's called. But I'm going to put a crosshair around the circle. For that, I will need the SVG to be bigger. Right? Now I'm thinking about this. Do I want the SVG to be bigger, or when my circle is big, like this, I don't need a crosshair. It's kind of evident where the cursor is. So maybe what I will do is not change the size of the SVG, and I will only put the crosshair if the size is small. But then I have to think about what is small. Yeah, no. I'm going to go with a crosshair every time. I'll also leave another to do here. Do we change the cursor on fade? We'll think about this later. Let's do the crosshair. Is it really called a crosshair? Am I remembering this right? Yes, it is called a crosshair. A quick way to do this would be to just have my cursor be a crosshair. Kind of works, but it has the wrong color, and if I move very fast you can see a lag. Maybe you cannot on the stream. No, you can. I guess you can. You can see a lag between my custom cursor trying to track the actual cursor, because the mouse move events don't fire often enough. So no, that's too cheap of a hack. We'll do it the hard way. Do we do with lines? I think we'll do the crosshair with lines. Yeah, I guess we could also do a polyline. We could not do, but we could do a path, and then the whole crosshair would be a single element. Yeah, that can be fun. I will do that. So I will have a path that will have a certain, I guess, what definition? And the stroke, I guess I will copy some of the stroke stuff from down here. So the stroke will be my current color. My stroke width, I don't want that to change. I want that to be like 3, I don't know, we'll see. My opacity will not change, and then the line cap and line join will be round. Now I only have to figure out this path. So I guess it goes from, I need to move my cursor to -7.5, 0, so that will be to the left, and then draw a line to 7.5 and still 0 on the y-axis. That will draw a horizontal line. Then I move my cursor to 0 minus 7.5, that will be up, and I draw a line down to 0 on the x-axis and 7.5 on the y-axis. If you have trouble understanding this syntax, we went in detail about this. We went over this syntax many streams ago, actually. But we talked about this. Oh yeah, we did. So now I have a little crosshair. And it doesn't seem like the stroke... I think I know what the issue is. So the stroke cap was supposed to be round, but this is definitely square. And the problem is that the stroke cap goes like... So if your line ends here, it does this. It increases the size of the line. We actually ran into this issue over here on this icon. So I will not start at zeros. I will start, well, let's think about this. On the left, I want to go like 3 pixels, and maybe that's too much, 2 pixels. Well, what is my line? My stroke width is 3, so probably 3 pixels to the left or to the right, I think. And then I draw a line up to 15 minus 3, 12. And then I move my cursor down. No, that is incorrect. My math is just incorrect. I want to keep the zeros zeros. Because that's the straight line, the horizontal line. It's the horizontal, not the straight. Both are straight. This is my horizontal line. And this line is too wide. So I need to change these values. My 7.5s are not 7.5s. They may be 4.5s. Just doing 7 minus 3. And now it looks round. I mean, it is kind of silly to have a crosshair when the dot is bigger than the crosshair. But when it's small, like this, and having the crosshair really helps. And how do I feel about the width of the crosshair? I think it's wide enough. I think it works fine. And apparently I got my math wrong in terms of the stroke width. So maybe it doesn't go over 3. So we had 7.5. It doesn't go 3 over. It may go 1.5 over. And in that case, we will subtract 1.5. So 7.5 minus 1.5. And yes, I did need a calculator for that, which is great because it's an integer now. And look at that, a perfect match. And now that the match is actually perfect, it doesn't look too bad. This looks kind of wonky, but I guess it is what it is. Okay, not much code for the feature, but it's alright. Okay, so we are going to wrap this up. Tomorrow at 5:30 UTC, as always, I will continue working on this. Oh, I think I forgot to push. So let's push what I have. You can see the link in the description for the repository if you're interested. So what we're going to do tomorrow is something different. I'm kind of tired of the custom cursor. There are lots of things we need to fix from the keyboard shortcuts and whatnot, but let's move on to something else which may be more interesting. Tomorrow we are going to work on the menu bar because I don't want the app to always be on top, always be on. When you start, you're already start drawing and no. I want you to be able to hide the drawing, hide the whole app, and then it will be here on the menu bar on the top. So I want that to happen. So tomorrow we'll do some window management using Electron. We'll do a menu bar thing, We will probably need an icon for our app, for the icon to show up on the menu bar. So that could be interesting. Thank you all very much for watching, for subscribing to the channel, supporting me on PayPal and Patreon. And I see you all tomorrow for more of this. Bye.